Hey guys, Tommy Carrigan with Tommy Untamed. We've got a great show coming up. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to the stream, Don. Tommy is showing feet pics and everything to his OnlyFans.
Good. Hey, Don, we're already imploding. The stream.
Yeah, you may have missed the best intro to I was going to say stream, but podcast ever.
Perfect. I ran out to get I started the stream and David held it down while I ran out to the car to get some beer.
Nice.
I got
immediately leaving the moment that you start creating content is the most professional thing you can do.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm a pro. I ran outside and I got stung on the foot by, I think, a hornet.
I'm claiming NRO drone. Yeah, I'm claiming it's an NRO drone, and he just got poisoned. And now we gotta get expert opinions that I'm not qualified to give. Tommy's the only one that's gotten into medical school here. I don't know anything about this.
That's true. By the way, you should start answering YouTube anytime they give you a strike for medical misinformation. You should say, "I've totally been to medical school, bitch."
Be like, "Hey, I was accepted. I didn't go, but I was accepted. I can fax you my acceptance letter."
Did you physically walk on the campus at any time?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you went to medical school, didn't you?
You went.
I've been to the ICU.
Wow,
I will have them know that I've been to the Capitol. I am basically a legislator.
I mean, at this point.
I mean, if we're really going to play this game, my mom said I'm going to live. She said put ice on it, but...
It's a good thing you brought that picture of ice in.
Okay. Yeah, I know, right? If you start to itch all over your body or if your face swells, you might want to head over to the hospital, so...
I think it's this. Like, have you never been stung by a bee before?
No, I have when I was like 6, and I don't really remember it because I was 6. It's literally been 2.5 years.
But it didn't kill you, which implies that you're not allergic to them.
There we go. Don is the real doctor here. So, yeah. I mean, I guess what better way to start a stream than
So I would bring you a cigar for your birthday, but you're kind of far away from me.
What do you mean? You're in my basement. Oh, well, I'm dog sitting, which means I left Dawn in the basement.
Look, man, 2 stories up is not. It's not like a distance I'm going to bring you a cigar.
That's very true.
That's like stairs, man. Like, have you thought about putting in elevator shit?
I have
exactly.
The level of which I can just, some people can just turn on the professional. The level of which I can just turn it off. At 2:00, interviewed an MD PhD, Roger Hodgkinson. After that, I had a 3rd episode with Howard Bloom, Michael Jackson's publicist. And then I go to getting stung by a hornet and being chased outside by dogs as I tell David to carry the stream on.
At least he put a dog in a chair for me to talk to, giving me a little something to work with there.
Perfect. Gracie, you are going to witness whether or not I die tonight. Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad now. It still looks horrible, but I mean, Jesus, I thought I got hit by a rock. I realize as I'm saying this to Dawn, and Dawn's been in active combat, and I'm like, Dawn, you'll never get it. I ran outside of this mess house.
It was the worst thing ever, man.
I'm like, Dawn, I'm dog sitting at this house, this beautiful house on an estate, and I ran outside to my car that I didn't pay for to get the beer that I paid for by doing a podcast. No, Don, you won't understand the struggle. And then I got this is what it must feel like to be shot. I mean,
basically the same.
Do I get a Purple Heart? Is this it? I mean, do I?
No, you're not in a combat zone. Though you might be. I mean, you're close enough.
If it turns out to be like an NRO drone Dragonfly Hornet hybrid thing, technically combat casualty, right?
True.
But would it matter if it was inflicted by my own government? Would they give me? Is the U.S. government going to give out?
It's a civil war versus a regular war,
right? It depends on who wins the civil war.
Yeah, if they start shooting us, at the Capitol, and then let's say years down the road somehow the election actually gets overturned, would everyone who was injured receive Purple Hearts? Would that be the thing that melts the liberal brain?
I mean,
maybe.
I think technically you could probably do like, where is it? Congressional Medal of Freedom. Like you could throw those at.
Can you imagine?
Good.
Can you imagine Reddit and Twitter imploding? The year's 2025, and everyone who is at the Capitol is lined up in our Sunday best, getting medal or Purple Hearts pinned on.
I'm gonna be there wearing this hat.
Yeah. I'm gonna wear this.
It'll be Sec Def Don just standing there like you did it.
Well, if somehow or another elections are overturned and I turn into the Secretary of Defense, we all gonna have some problems. That's all I'm saying.
I say if Don becomes the Secretary of Defense, something is gone.
Don for Secretary of Defense, and I want Alex Jones press secretary.
Oh man. I don't care who's president. I want Alex Jones press secretary.
Hell yeah.
Alex Jones.
Make the press kneel before him.
They're turning the freaking frogs gay. All right? This government is turning the frogs gay. Straight from the president. You heard it here first.
Can you imagine the look on Jim McCullough's face having to sit down and listen to a sermon from
and I want
so good.
Beautiful.
And I want Tim Dillon to be the Secretary of State. Tim Dillon. Did you see Fox News quoted Tim Dillon last night?
No, I did not see that.
He's like, they're talking about the virus, and this guy goes, to quote the great philosopher Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon posted it. He goes, "What a world." He goes, to quote the great philosopher Tim Dillon, the purpose is to destroy the virus, not to destroy the Constitution in the process. Which is actually a great quote, but yeah, my foot's it's not swelling as much anymore. I think we're good. I've been hesitating. No, it's kind of golf ballish. It's
yeah, that's how that goes.
Yeah, it's
you know what? At some point, hopefully, in a nice wet year, I'm going to bring you down here, and you can fight. You can fight the mosquitoes in Texas.
Yeah, it's true. Again, I'm like, Dawn, do you understand what this pain is? I should text Dale and be like, you're the only one that understands. Dale, we're brothers now.
That would be perfect.
Man. It's you, me, and people that got the Medal of Honor for dying in combat that understand this pain.
I just completely changed my demeanor for all future podcasts. So I'm like, look, none of us are heroes. We were just doing our jobs. Smedley. Smedley, but
I'm not a hero. I was just serving with a company of shit posters.
Listen, guys, Smedley Butler. We're just Americans. That's what we
listen. I once ran through, Florida mosquitoes, waving the double electric, like the tennis racket electric fly swatters. And
I almost bought one of those today.
Those are so satisfying. They're dumb ass shit for effectiveness, but just you just flap your arms and you just hear cracking and just sizzling and that smell. Oh, it's beautiful.
Are you clinically retarded?
Yes. Oh, you meant him.
We like simple things, man. Like simple things. You set up like the what's the name for those little? You set them up. It's just the light. They go to it. That's redneck entertainment. You set that up on your porch. Yes, your bug zapper. You set it out there.
I just imagine your parents watching you through the blinds, and it's you, full-grown male, just running through a field, like swatting with like 2 electric bug swatters.
Okay, well, to be fair, I was more like 12, but you know what? The point is, I survived. I'm here, and that's why I too deserve the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Reasonable. Why the not? So you need to understand that this is the side entertainment for rednecks having fires too, right?
Yeah.
Because at a certain point in the evening, all the mosquitoes come out, they form a giant cloud over the fire, and then they dive bomb it.
That's
beautiful.
It must be like the Japanese in World War II.
It's no different. It's no different. We proud few.
Grandpa, the proud, the shit posters, and that one guy that's a Marine.
It's good. I'm gonna be one of those like stolen valor videos. Whenever you've seen those YouTube videos where they approach the guy, but I'm gonna be like 90. The year's gonna be 2080, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I remember it was a little injury and I couldn't walk right, but you know what? They keep going. Someone's gonna be like, "Are you Tommy?" It's gonna be like as distant as like the Ed Sullivan Show. They're gonna be like, "Are you Tommy?" I'm gonna be like, "I have to go." They're like, "You're not in combat," and I'm just like, "I gotta go, everyone."
So
you don't understand. The NRO came after me.
Funny thing about real stolen valor is that's how it works, right?
Oh yeah.
So my wife, girlfriend at the time, knew a guy who was supposedly a Marine lieutenant, and she was telling me a bunch of shit about this guy, and I was like, that guy can't be a lieutenant. He doesn't even have a degree. It's not possible. And so I come back on leave for something, and she's like, hey, he's gonna be at this party. You should just go talk to him. Just like don't even be a dick about it. Just go talk to him. I just want to see what happens. Because I've always been kind of a gruff asshole to begin with. So I just sit down and I'm like, hey brother, so I heard you're a Marine.
As you do.
Right? Well, so if you walk up to real Marines and you say this, everyone is suddenly drinking beer and telling war stories. And this dude is like, no, man. Like I was in the Air Force. Like if I was a Marine, like people would like respect me or something. And I was like, oh yeah, so how's the Air Force, bro? Well, it's like this goes on for like 20-30 minutes before I'm like, all right, I gotta stand up, get another beer, and take a piss. And so I stand up, I walk in the house, I do in fact grab a beer. Don't take a piss though. Figure I tell this guy it'll take longer for me to get back than it does. Turn around, walk back out to where he was, which was on the front porch. And the like 4 people who were sitting there like, yeah, so you stood up, and the moment you were past the front door, that bitch was like, yeah, so I gotta go. I'll see you all later. I'll be right next week.
The Speedy Gonzalez, yeah.
It's yeah, dude. It was like, I think I told that story on the Lost episode of I was in Times Square on New Year's Eve 2012 going into 2013. Me and some friends got a hotel, and by that I mean one of the guys' really rich dads let us stay at a hotel that he got, and we were there, and there were these guys drinking, and they're in like, obviously it wasn't like combat, it was like, I guess, is there like dress uniforms, Don? Like really, yeah. And I think they were Marines, and I went up to him and I was like, hey, do you just, because I'm socially retarded, I was like, do you guys wear that as like respect, or are you just trying to get laid? And they were like. And they looked at each other and they're like, the pussy. And I was like, yeah. And so like I got them a drink. We were all talking and stuff. And we just getting shit faced. And they're like, yeah, man, no, the bitches just flocked to you. And I was like, that's so cool. And like we all went into the bathroom, we're pissing. And one of the guys was like, you want to wear it? And I was like, I don't think I can. I have pictures of this, by the way. I will pull them up. Not well, I can't. I do have pictures. I can post proof. And I was like, I can't do that. And the guy looks at me and he goes, good men died in Iraq for me to wear this. He's like, if I want you to wear, I go, listen, if you're gonna frame it as this is what you're living your best life because you want to like,
what an asshole.
I know, which I can only imagine. He and his friends tell this story. They're like, dude, we cucked this guy. And he goes,
right.
He goes, good men die. So in my mind, I'm like, this is like Tom Hanks, Saving Private Ryan, like earn it. And I'm like, so I told him, I was like, if this is you like earning it, like live the funniest life you can, then I'll indulge. So there is a picture of me in like Marine Corps finest at a bar in Times Square in New Year's Eve. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting drinks too. And one of the other guys is standing there with me, and he was like, so what do we do if they start asking for war stories? And I was like, dude, please don't. I was like, please. I was like, I'm scared of this. Like, I'm not cut out for combat. And so the other guy was standing next to me in like my green sweatshirt, and I was like, can we change back? He's like, you've done your time. And I was like, thank you. So we went to the bathroom and switched. One of my friends came up and they're like, Tommy, do you know how up stolen valor is? I was like, you don't even start with me, these 2 assholes. But yeah, you know what, I think that was them just having the best time. They're like, let's cuck this guy, because I'm like, hey, let's buy him drinks, like, they're our age and we're here being spoiled shits, and they served, and they were like, hey, put it on. And I was like, I don't want. And he was like, men died for this. And I was like, dude, I was like, don't. But
the moment I got to the fleet, I had a corporal that enlisted from Las Vegas. And he pulls everybody aside and he goes, all right, I know a bunch of you are going to be dumbasses and like take your blues to Vegas and you're going to wear them down the strip. I'm going to tell you right now, don't. And we're like, really? Like, how bad could Vegas be? And he's like, yeah, I know. You're thinking to yourself, what, like Vegas is going to kick my ass or something? You didn't say don't go to Oakland. We at least get that. But no, you go to Vegas, You stand at the first bar and you go, "Hey, can I have a?" And someone runs over and they goes, "Whatever he's drinking, I'll buy 2." And you're like, "Cool, drinks on this random guy." And so you take whatever shot or whatever you were going to buy and you start drinking it. And as you're standing there talking to him, somebody walks over and they're like, "Hey man, let me buy this guy a drink." And then you're two-fisting. And then you're sitting there, you're drinking. Right about the time you're done with the first one, you set it down. Somebody walks up and is like, "Let me buy this man a drink." He was like, I must have drank half a keg and about 30 shots.
he's like, "That's why I'm a father." And you're like, you're like, "This guy's actually looking out for us." He's like, "I know it sounds funny." He's like, "I have 9 kids."
Got married in the same night.
I know.
To 4 different women.
That is, yeah. So, one day, God willing, the podcast blows up. I can't wait to see the white supremacist hatred of me. They're gonna be, "Here's Tommy, Stolen Valor, 2012." And the worst part is this guy and we posed for pictures, and he was mean mugging. And mind you, this is college when I was like twice the muscle I had, shaved head. So I actually look like I'm trying to pull off Jarhead, which, it'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back.
I keep saying the same thing.
No, not that. The pictures will come back.
Guaranteed.
Oh yeah, just like Nick Regatta's the blackface lawyer.
Is he? Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Maybe but you know what? I can double down on it because there's also pictures of me in an SS uniform.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think I told you.
All right. Now all we need to do is get blackface. We pretty much got the circle here.
I played Adolf Hitler in a 5th grade school play, and that was, the peak of elementary school is getting to show up like Eric Cartman dressed as Hitler and nobody having a problem with it.
Hey man, dress for the job you want. Sorry.
Dude, the only reason I volunteered, because I normally hated any kind of school play bullshit, but the kids that signed up to play the Jews that Hitler gets to tell to go to the camp, one of them spoiled Dragon Ball Z for me one time, and I just took it personally, and I was like, you know what, I'm
gassing you little mother.
Yeah. It was great.
1933, it's like, well, he didn't get into art school in Vienna, and it's like 2003. Well, this one kid spoiled Dragon Ball Z for me, and
next thing you know, I'm taking a pen and
anyway,
before I could grow a mustache.
So it's all right. Let's turn to chapter 30 on the beginning of World War III. So there's a man named David O'Neill, and there's a show at the time called Dragon Ball Z, but yeah, there was book character dress-up day at the private Catholic high school I went to, St. Pius X, in the outskirts of Atlanta. There's book character dress-up day, which you had to do, obviously, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever year you were in. You had to choose a book that you had to read in that year that you were currently in and dress up as a character from it. A lot of, you took it loosely. It was just kind of a dress up.
This is where Tommy says he read Mein Kampf.
And I was a senior at the time, right? Everyone is, mind you, it's a private Catholic school where you have to wear uniforms. So any reason to wear any sort of normal clothes is that's a good day there. And so me and my other friend Tommy, I won't say his last name, but who was also built, short hair, he was a football player, pale skin, blue eyes, really kind of looked like me. I was like, "Hey Tommy, do you want to be hilarious?" Because we had a month left of high school. I was like, "Do you remember freshman year?" And he's like, "We have to choose a book from senior year." And I was like, "But do you remember freshman year?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We read All Quiet on the Western Front." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like,
"No."
I was like, that included Germany. And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So what if we just dressed up as Nazis?" And he goes, "Why would we do?" In full disclosure, it was just hey, you can't have long hair, so you grow your hair really long. You can't untuck your shirt, so you wear. Everything is just to spite the system.
Just gonna pull a Prince Harry here real quick.
Yeah, so everything is just to spite the system. And so my older brother, the now deceased John, but he was home from college, and I now know he saw this, and he was like, "I think that's a great idea, Tom." And I was like, "Thank you." And so little did I know, he went through 4 years of high school without a detention. He was he got an award for it. I got a detention before my first day of freshman year started, but that's a different story. We were there, and he was like, "Yeah,
well played, sir."
And he goes, so we go and get like one of my dad's like nicest like jackets or something. We get some of my mom's like leather gloves. We get this big like leather like dress belt my mom has.
Your mom had big giant leather gloves.
Well, we lived in New Hampshire. Before that, we lived in New Hampshire. My dad spoiled my mom. We get her. Like,
yeah, that's why she had big giant leather gloves.
Did she go from like Germany to Argentina before coming to the States? Like, what's the?
Dude, do you see how blue my eyes are? That's like
next to the big giant leather gloves. Was there a big giant leather bodysuit and chains?
Yeah, I thought that was a swimsuit with chains for weight resistance, right?
Clearly.
Yeah, they would swim every Friday night. So. We went up. I
forgot your parents watched this. I'm sorry, Tommy's parents.
My mom.
We apologize in advance.
My dad doesn't give a shit. My dad's like, as long as you don't like disclose our location, I don't care. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah, right.
It's just kind of half the lost episode.
Understandable.
Just half the lost episode. We did exactly that. But
oh man.
Yeah.
There is no lost episode. That never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
So
been yeeted and deleted.
Yeah, the yeeted and deleted episode. So my mom just
that's basically all of them.
Yeah. So my mom just had like, just like these nice kind of like go to church on Sundays in the winter. You dress up and right. So my mom had these like nice leather gloves, and John was like, you should wear those. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, we'll get one of like dad's suit. Didn't tell, like my dad was out of town. Didn't tell my mom what we were doing. And I was like, yeah, we need like the nicest like black pants we can get, like shiny black shoes. And we had this big belt, this big ridiculous like dress belt. And I put it over everything. And then John cut out this like red piece of fabric. And then we put the white circle on it. And then the swastika on it. And put it on my arm. We combed my hair over with gel that morning.
Jeez.
And the night before, we took a picture of everything. And I texted to my friend Tommy, who did the same. So we show up. We get out of our cars in the senior parking lot. Just, I mean, like heels clicking. Like, straight up like Reichstag. And this is like, everyone's always pushing the envelope, right? There's no such thing as dark humor. It's all about getting in. There are priests as teachers. Everyone's always making you just do the opposite of what a Catholic school wants. And I remember getting out, and I remember my friends going, whoa. And it was like, no, man, it's like if I made a joke and Don was like too far. You'd be like, what? My friends were like, dude. And like, Tommy gets out of his car. He goes, I was waiting for you to get here. He gets out, and we look at each other. And I'm like, we look great. And he was like, I think we look spiffy. And I was like, yeah. So
Giorgio Armani.
When you're in Rome, when you're in Berlin, and so so I'm like, well, let's practice our goose step. So we start walking around in the senior parking lot, goose stepping, and my friend, one of like my best friends, who just had this like
this is getting clipped, just so you know.
Oh yeah.
The thing is that because pictures exist that aren't in my control, you might as well own it. So he takes these pictures of us. He and his friend kind of did something along the same lines where they wanted to, because I didn't tell them what we were doing, but I did tell them, I was like, hey, we're choosing a book from one of the other years, and we're loosely grabbing, which isn't even true. The Kaiser's army had nothing to do with like
not a thing.
Nothing. Not at all. In the same geographic area. But so he was like, okay, so he and his friend did. It's kind of the same. They wanted to push the boundaries, and they're like, we had to read part of the Bible. So they wanted to be Adam and Eve. So they got these like skin suits that looked like the same color as skin. And, had like the leaf over like their, and they were like, we're going to get in so much trouble. And it's form fitting. You can see everything. And they're like, we're going to get kicked out. And that was kind of the mood I thought we were all going for. Like, we're going to, whatever. So
how do we get expelled in the last month of school?
So they see us and they're like, well, mind you, sorry, all my other friends see us and they're like, Jesus Christ. And we see these two guys and they're like, they look at us and they're like, whoa. And I was like, pretty hardcore. And I was like, what are you guys? Like, we're Adam and Eve. And one of them goes, we kind of just, I was like, you don't look like Adam and Eve. You just look naked. He looks at us and he goes, who's the main character of All Quiet on the Western Front? It's like Paul or where the it is. He goes, you don't
that
look
guy.
Paul, he goes, you just look like a Nazi. And I was like, touche. And then I don't remember who said it, but someone goes, actually, you guys just kind of look naked, like naked Jews. And we go, yeah, you do.
Nailed it.
So I just wish I could find like the security camera footage of like door opening, and we're walking with these two who have their heads bowed, looking distraught as we walk with them, kind of pushing them in front of us. And me and my friend Tommy are just kind of yelling, we're like, Schnell, Achtung!
Shit.
So,
everyone, all of our friends are just looking at us like the color's just draining from their face. There was the guy there. Our first class was free period. We lucked out. We had free period first. The person who looked over it was just some teacher who they would just grade. That teacher was sick that day. Who was filling in for that teacher, including
a very big-nosed, brown-haired, brown-eyed person.
No, a very square-jawed high school alumni who just, within the past 14 days, came back from Iraq. And so he's there because he couldn't find a job right away. And they're like, hey, you're an alumni, you're a veteran, you got a job. No questions asked, which is admirable. So we don't show up to class because we're like, dude, I won't say his name, but we're like, dude, there's so-and-so. And we're like, holy shit.
What we're not going to do is get murdered by
go in there.
Really returned Iraq vet.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Like sub 2 weeks, like just back. And so, as you can imagine, word traveled rather quickly that there was some Nazis with Jewish prisoners. And we didn't show up to that. So he's like, they're supposed. And all I remember hearing is someone came up to me and they go, dude, Mr. So-and-so, he realized that you guys skipped. And I was like, really? Is he mad? And they go, someone goes, yeah, he had like dip in. He goes, and all we could hear him say is, where are them goose stepping?
Oh, man. See,
Long story short.
I'd have got it expelled right there because I'd have been like, they're at the gas chamber.
Long story short, we were sent home, and book character dress-up day, after 50 years, was banned at St.
Suddenly canceled.
It was banned at St. Pius, and it has been gone for 12 years because 2 people dressed up as Nazis with Jewish prisoners.
Well done.
For my eventual office run, when someone pulls out, you did stolen valor, I can steal the oxygen from that flyer and be like, no, I dressed up as a Nazi.
Yeah, right. What we're gonna have happen is it's gonna be like the grandson of Otto Skorzeny. It's gonna walk up to you and it's gonna be like, "Excuse me, are you the American Tommy?
Are you doing stolen valor?" Really gonna be the. So for that long story,
look, just to be supportive, if you run for office, I'll show up at your first press conference and be like, "Stolen valor." That way you can be like, "Shut up, you idiot in a pleb hat."
There's no such thing as bad PR, but you know what? I might change that.
You might.
People might be like,
look, hey, it's working out for Northam, man, and you're in that part of the country.
Shock and awe by other means.
So, if we're going to start the podcast with me immediately running out of the room and getting stung by a hornet, might as well tell the story about my stolen valor and dressing up as a Nazi. Anyway, in other news, David, Don, how's life?
Good.
And absolutely, just wonderful news pouring in nonstop. It's a pretty active year for a non-election year.
You ain't wrong. Another one of those moments, like, I remember when COVID first happened, everybody was like, Don, you must be like really hurting. And I was like, look, guys, if you are a broadcaster and you talk about politics, this is the best time in all of freaking history. The Cold War was not this good.
Oh, all right. Oh yeah.
And it's true. Like, don't feel sorry for me. Everyone and their brother is worried about cooties right now. All of you are out of a job and suddenly turning into YouTube. Anyone who's not telling you that is being a douchebag. That's just how it is. Yeah. And a whole bunch of people were like, well, that's kind of dickish of you. And I was like, what do you want me to do? Lie to you? Like, oh, it's really hard times. The channel's growing 1,000 subscribers a month. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard saying it, but I mean, 2020 was the best year of my life. I mean, I got I got a contract making money off my podcast. 2020 was the best year of my life. I know a lot of people lost somebody, but 2020 was the year that it all came together for me.
That was our plan for releasing the bioweapon all along.
Exactly. We were like, we need Tommy's podcast to freaking succeed. All right, drop it now.
All right, boys. You do what we do best. Fists in, 10th Mountain Division. 1, 2, 3.
Oh my god.
11.5 is ready to go for the QRF.
Do you think Dale was?
Do people even get that joke? Isn't that out of the Lost podcast that doesn't exist?
Is it? No. I think it was QAnon.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before. I think
that was QAnon before.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Yeah. All right, fair enough.
If not, he's. Oh wait, no, I'd spoil something. I can't say it now.
I am dying for a thing that happened entirely off air, which is, of course, my favorite phrase of talking to people about Tommy being long reach as he is, talking to people who know, who are just going to be like, where'd you find out about the 11.5 Mountain Division?
I'm going to be, next time we go shooting, Dale's going to be like, hey, leave your phone over there. Let's go for a walk. I'm going to the woods. He's going to pull me aside and be like, Tom, I want you to live a long, happy life. I'm like, okay. And he's like, you ever say a word about the 11.5 again? He and Ted-Eye, they both pull aside their coats and they have 10th Mountain, like, tattooed. And they just look at me and they go, shut up. Just go home, man. And I'm like, okay. It's just...
I'll have Dawn stop memeing about it.
Charlie Duke messages me and goes, why do you think we went to the moon? What do you think that whole thing was a cover for?
Oh, perfect.
Just a giant mountain, man. That's all it is. That's why we got to go that high.
One small step for man, one large step for the 10th Mountain Division.
11.5.
11.5. It's yeah, man. Oh, it is August, isn't it? Oh,
yes, today's
the 76th anniversary of Hiroshima.
That's your birthday, faggot.
No, tomorrow's my birthday, faggot.
Oh, wait, okay.
Oh, man. So just like minutes before you were born, also 40 years earlier, Hiroshima exploded.
Yeah, I was always a little upset that my mom didn't hold me in for a couple more hours. Or sorry, pop me out a couple hours early. August 6th, August 9th. I managed to land in the middle. I could have had a atomic bomb birthday.
You could have.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah. Again, it's like getting stung by a bee. Nothing, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. So, it's war. Sometimes you're not born on the day you want. Sometimes you get stung. This is a casualty of war. It does.
It's a fact. There's only so much you can do.
It does sting a lot, though. It's not getting worse, I don't think. But it is kind of, I mean, it's.
Oh, my God.
He's starting his OnlyFans.
Seriously, he is. Like, I don't know if you understand the mistake that.
Do you not see that?
That you are.
I wonder if is he even aware?
If someone's getting off to my pasty white feet,
someone is. Welcome to the internet.
Then I'm okay with that, because you know what? Grow the podcast at all means necessary. Unrestricted war.
But you're giving it away for free when you could be selling it on OnlyFans. Right. What are you doing?
PC unrestricted warfare. If they won't put me in the algorithm, I'll use my feet.
Look here, Timothy. If you're good at something, get paid for it.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
And presumably, you have some skill at having feet.
Most people are born with them.
Indeed.
I got bit by it on my foot. What are we talking about?
He really doesn't know.
He's hallucinating.
You guys are now you're being trippy.
Whenever this podcast posts, you need to let me know and send me the link so that I can advertise it as feet pics from Tommy.
Yeah, and the comment section will fill up with a bunch of shit posters who will inform you.
What goes on in y'all's server? What goes on in y'all's server?
Nothing good.
I don't know if we can talk about that without this going into the lost episode yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't, right? Like, so there has been meme dump fighting in the server the past couple days of who can post the spiciest, most ridiculous things. This guy right over here, he's involved in the fight pretty regularly. That's all I'm saying.
David?
You know,
I mean, I've seen the South Park pictures, which are hilarious.
that's Craig, man. That's a shout out to Craig.
Yeah.
Craig is the only good Brit. If we nuke the UK, which we should, then we have to extract Craig. Craig is worth saving. So by all means.
I've actually spoken to Craig.
Yeah, me too. Craig's a great dude.
I mean, as someone that's like not on y'all server, when I was putting up the alternative YouTube channels, I was like, can someone try to find any of them? I'll give you a free hoodie. No one could find them. Except for I got an email from a guy named Craig like 12 hours later. And it was like,
last name begin with an H?
Yeah. No. He told me. He was like, I know you from Don's channel. I was like, yeah. He was like, I found this one, man. And I was like, how'd you find it? And he's like, well, I just did this, that, and everything. I was like, that's pretty autistic. And he was like, yeah. I was like, hey. I was like, game sees game. I was like, I'm like, autism sees autism. And he was like, and he was great. He was like, here it is. He's like, you don't need to give me a free hoodie. Just, maybe hide your other channels better. I was like, I appreciate that. So, yeah.
Craig is from my OG autism crew. So when I was a much smaller channel and substantially more autistic, Craig was there, and we were all incredibly autistic together. Do not fuck with Craig's autism.
I won't. No, the fact that no one else could find it and he could, and the way he did it, I was like, I seriously respect it. I was like, okay, you also eat glue as a kid. Like, I see you. Game.
Oh yeah.
Game recognizes game. I'm like, you tuck your pants into your socks too, don't you? And
that's why I love the server, man. It's like I'm home.
Oh man, there is so much autism there. Like, if you want something found, every now and again I can't find something, and I just drop it in general, and I'm like, hey, somebody find this, and within 5 minutes, like 10 people are like, here.
You gotta love it.
Hey, this thing got deleted off the internet. Can anyone find it? Yeah, it's in these 6 places. Shit.
Here it is. Yeah. Hey man, weaponized autism. I mean, that's all. I think that's all that long reach is. It's just autism. You're too stupid to stay in your lane. Former President Bush. My name's Tommy Carrigan. I'm 30 years old. Would you come on? And it's just like, what? He's not going to come on. Yeah, I emailed Leon Panetta asking him to come on my podcast and talk about space weapons. I mean,
no, he's not going to do it.
Well, no, he did. You know what though? You are a yet another example of the usual description of success, right? Like, so I don't generally reach out to people to talk to them. Yeah, that too, right? But I can't imagine the number of like emails you fire off. I know the people that you have told me privately you have reached out to, and I've been like, bro, come on.
Oh, dude.
But you know what? Look at what you do get.
That is true. But
you miss all the shots you don't take.
Hey, man, some of them I really want on.
Speaking of which, you should go after Michael Jordan.
I should.
Not a bad idea.
Right?
I should absolutely go after him. I'll be like, how do you feel about the fact that your gambling problem probably ended up in a mafia hit on your dad?
Oh, man. The only thing you really got to ask him is about that LeBron James meme. That is the thing you need to add. So have you not seen this? There's a picture of LeBron. He's wearing whatever the his jersey is, right? And it says like, when you think you're the GOAT, but the GOAT is on your uniform, and because it's got the Michael Jackson, up in the air ball. Or Michael Jordan. Jesus Christ, Michael Jackson.
Woo!
Totally different story.
Don's 75.
Indeed.
Don's like, it's got Bob Cousy and Mickey Mantle. Sorry, Ron.
Anyhow, so, and it's just Michael Jordan on the other side of the meme is just laughing ridiculously because like, oh, but you think you're a badass, but I'm here.
Yeah. Seriously, the NBA, that you play in, the logo, that's me. That's my silhouette.
Right.
That'd be like if I was like, I'm going to be bigger than YouTube, and it's like, I'm going to be bigger than Rogan. It'd be like the fact that you use Rogan not as a person, but as a general idea that people know.
Right.
Those you're not going to be. Yeah, that is true. Mm-hmm. That is very true.
Oh, man.
The thing is I have like my own rule that I'll never, ever do like ambush journalism or set people up. I just think that's for faggots. So like, it doesn't matter who comes on. I'm just going to show him respect just for coming on my podcast. But also, I think it'd be hilarious to get on some like objectively evil people and just like thank them for their service, just to see how people would react. Just have like so.
Excuse me, Mr. Goebbels. Thank you for your service.
You did a great. Yeah, it's Otto Ambrose. Like, listen, man, I know you're a Nazi, but your contributions to chemical warfare are the reason we have. So thank you. You know, from one white guy to another. But I emailed, well, and I got a no, but I emailed like Henry Kissinger, and I just wanted to have on. He's 97. I just wanted to have on Henry Kissinger and just thank him for his service in Indochina, just to see the comments of people being like, "Do you even know
what the f- did you just say?"
And I'd probably be like, "Thank you, Mr. Kissinger." Like, no, thank you, Tommy. It's a hard saying. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I get it. You gotta bomb them to oblivion. It's the only way. Yeah. That's what I want to do. I want to get on George Bush and just passively gloss over the 1.5 million civilian deaths. Just like, be like, so what was it like to just do the right thing?
Oh my god! All right. So speaking of autism, right? The 1.5 million civilian deaths, and I'm going to piss off the whole internet right now. The 1.5 million civilian deaths is 100% bullshit. Never happened. It's crap.
Because they weren't real people.
That too. But those numbers come from a bunch of pre-investigation reports that were made, of which like 80% never pan out. So, sorry, lefties. That's not how it works.
Imagine what, they do just to set up a scene for like white helmets in Syria. And then, imagine the autistic levels of script writing for that.
So here is welcome to war story time with Don. While I was in Afghanistan, which was 2009, 2010. And so you can go and track and find out that this happened. There was an ambush of a patrol in MRABs, and the MRABs are taking all kinds of AK-47, RPK fire, some RPGs from this building, right? So they get the hell out of the way and they call HIMARS. Now, HIMARS are big, giant rockets that travel really, really, really far. Like gigantic amount of distance, ICBM kind of distance. And they blow up really big.
What are they called?
HIMARS.
Sorry, I just want to, for my own autism, I just want to make a note of it.
Think Scud missiles, but not for pussies.
Okay.
And so
M142 HIMARS.
Yeah, they're GPS guided munitions. So you shoot it straight up in the air. It quite literally makes about a 90-degree turn, and then another 90-degree turn and comes straight down. And it will only arm the fuse at a specific elevation, right? So it goes through the building, blows up down at the bottom, kills everybody inside, right? Like they're actually kind of badass. They're just the laziest artillery that's ever been made. And so they call HIMARS and they blow up this building. And well, I think at the time it was ISIS says Marines killed a bunch of civilians, and the Marine Corps is like, but you were shooting AKs at us and RPKs and RPGs. You were not civilians, right? And so they dig out all the rubble and they find all of these civilian bodies who were in the back of the building, and they're like, maybe we killed a bunch of civvies, as though there was some possible way to know that when you're calling for fire in the middle of a goddamn gunfight.
Yeah.
Come to find out, those people had been dead for at least 24 hours by the time HIMARS had been called, because ISIS drugged them into the building, popped them in the forehead, and then started a gunfight in the building so that they could say Americans killed civilians. All the CNN headlines were published. All the New York Times headlines were published. The results of the investigation that went, these people were already dead, and the only people who died in the explosions were the ones who were holding weapons and firing at Marines. That never gets published. And that is exactly how you get to this stupid 1.5 million number.
Low-key genius.
It is.
Respect the game.
It's quite literally the look. We can't defeat the American military on the battlefield, but we can defeat them in the New York Times.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, it's asymmetric, right? It's win a propaganda war, right? Hey man, yeah, you got to respect that. I mean, it's horrific, but yeah, I think Dale said that one time. Yeah, the episode not too long ago about like aircraft hostages. He was like, you don't understand. He was like, if we accidentally pop one civilian, I'm like, but you saved 400. Yeah, like, that's a win. And he was like, no, it's not.
Not for CNN, it's not.
Not when your active news stations are like allies of the Chinese Communist Party. He's like, it doesn't matter. There's no logic. There's no retractions. Which is insane. But I mean,
well, so like there's a moment in Lone Survivor, which I hate to quote Hollywood ever, but people watch Hollywood, and they're sitting on top of the mountain, and they've got the guy, the goat herder, and the kid, right? And they're like, so what do we do now? Because we're kind of compromised. And one of the guys goes, well, we could just terminate the compromise. Just throwing that out there. And we could just terminate the compromise, just throwing that out there, right? So he's quite literally like, well, we just pop these people in the head and push them into that ditch over there, and then we call it a day. And the first thing that gets said is by Marcus Luttrell, as played by Wahlberg, is imagine the headlines: CNN, SEALs kill kids. It's a real worry that real people have. That's a thing that if you were in a combat zone, at some point you probably worried about.
Devil's advocate, as someone that's never seen combat, aside from my, the injury I took earlier and the Purple Heart I will be receiving.
Outside of that,
thank you for your service, Tommy. You're welcome, David.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Guys, listen, I'm a civilian. I wake up, I put my pants on.
There is nothing that we can do to congratulate you enough for being willing to get beer out of the car after getting stung in the foot by a hornet. I am,
and a pitcher of ice too, both hands.
Exactly. This capability to carry on in the face of adversity is something that I think everyone can admire.
That's why we're going to win this. It's that kind of determination. It's the backbone of this movement.
Exactly. We're going to bomb those brown people. What? Why are we invading Algeria? Why are we invading Algeria? Tommy got stung by a bee.
No, the question is, why are we nuking Oakland? Because if we're not nuking Oakland, then I think you're doing it wrong.
Then what are we doing?
And here's the question. Can we stick a bunch of like slightly bloated, not moving rhino bodies in Oakland before it happens?
Yes.
And we will say that it is the leftists that did it. And we had the
rhinos with an H?
Sure. Yeah, hunting. Big game hunting.
For my future discussions with
hashtag Rhino Safari. That's all
I've got a 700 nitro ready to go. We're good.
For my future discussions with the
dear federal agent that watches all of my content,
the bureaucratic individuals that like to watch my show is but is there, devil's advocate, is there maybe some sort of, and again, I understand I'm saying it in the same way that people are like, why didn't you just shoot him in the leg? And it's like during an adrenaline pump after a car chase, and you're in a neighborhood and there's a guy, you don't know if he has a gun, you're gonna shoot. Why didn't you shoot him in the leg? What? Because he just drove 200 miles an hour through an elementary school neighborhood. I get that's what I'm coming across as.
Finish your thing, and then I'll address both that and whatever your thing is.
Is there a benefit to, well, how would that look on CNN? Does it maybe make you go, okay, fuck, I'm with you, man. If I was there, I'd be like, yeah, pop him. I don't give a shit. I'm going home. So is there a benefit to that fear that it's going to be there?
If CNN was at all a realistic news reporting agency, then yes, right? If it was that one village in Vietnam that I forget the name of, where quite literally,
My
My. Yeah, if it was My, right? Then yes, presumably that lieutenant should have been being like, maybe this shouldn't be on the front of the New York Times. On the other hand, the reason that My to this day with the hypothetical exception of Haditha, is the example is because this happens really, really rarely. This idea that soldiers, sailors, Marines, hypothetically airmen, even though they don't know what their targets are out there just smoking civvies is complete bullshit. They don't do it, right? These cold-hearted bastards are the ones giving kids their MREs that they should be eating, but then they're shooting them in the forehead. And look, as a guy who has literally been on, and probably why I got this now, been on the, well, welcome to one meal a day kind of thing. I've given up food in that kind of situation, not the place you want to be. And yet it is a consistent feature that people are out there. They're helping the kids. They're helping, the various families, etc. And somehow I'm expected to believe these exact same people are just out there like, yeah, man, Kachi, I'm going to kill him in his face. And just indiscriminately killing people. It's not how it works. There is a reason these things are a handful of stories attached to a giant number, and that giant number is effectively a number reported by ISIS that we take at face value.
Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, 72 servings per pail, 25 years shelf life. I've had the owner Clayton on the show before. He's a God-fearing, America-loving patriot. Get one of these, get a couple of them, throw them in your basement. It's good to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. If you don't want to do that, you can get their seeds. You can plant your own garden, so you don't even have to keep buying them. You can just get the goods and start your own, or you can even get freeze-dried fruits and vegetables like bananas, apples, strawberries, and raspberries. They support the show. It's an honest product. It's a good safety measure to have, and they keep my show free for you. So I'd implore you guys to please go to heavensharvest.com, use the link in the description, promo code TPC. Axios Fitness Coaching is a premium resource for holistic strength and conditioning services. Axios is best known for the Training Club, capital T, capital C, an exclusive community that prioritizes accountability, technique, diet, and nutrition. Everything you need to do to take action against the decay of the modern world. Whether you're looking to improve your physique, build strength, or just take care of your health and fitness, Axios will provide you with a solution that is effective and simple to execute. All you need to do is complete the intake survey, and you can see if you're a good candidate for the training club or any other of the services. And it's going to sponsor the show. So, one company falls off, another one arises. So if you guys like the show, you want to work out, throw the show a couple shekels. Go take the survey. Thank you so much, guys.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a Blue Room soon. www.blueroom.com.
Talking of Bing West, who wrote Mattis's book, Call Sign Chaos, that's regardless of what you think of Mattis, one of the things he consistently talked about was, who knows, maybe I'm just gobbling up the propaganda, was no worse enemy, no greater ally. And he would talk about always giving the excess. He's like, he's like, show them that you're here. So you don't have to give them everything, but he was like, got an extra MRE, give it to them. Like, give them a little bit of water. And it was just like, at the very least, show that we're not here to mow them down and bulldoze them into pits.
So there's a picture from Fallujah of a straight leg grunt in the Marine Corps, and he's rifle up. He's looking at higher windows. He's patrolling through a city, and behind him is like an 8-year-old girl. And stories from guys who were there is, look, this kid was trying to get across the street, so homeboy was patrolling the streets, and you're supposed to stay by the side. And he walked this kid across the street, him in body armor in front of the kid. And the people who were there, no. Have people encountered shitty Marines? Sure. Have people encountered shitty soldiers? Sure. Is there somebody somewhere you killed my brother and he was a good boy? Yeah, sure. But those people exist in the United States where, and I'm not even kidding, I just saw a headline printed the other day, officer shot in the face by unarmed black man. Like,
how do we get there? And yeah,
you what, mate?
Right back to Don's point though about if the CNN was a real news organization doing its job, you know, then it would be the check and balance that, you know, goes for the rare incident of, hey, this village got nuked. But from Don's story to Dale's story, it's way beyond that. It's the media looking at the Marine escorting, you know, the kid across the street and going, well, you know what? By putting that combatant next to that kid, you were drawing fire to that, and you're actively running propaganda for the enemy. So it's like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
You know, that's basically the way they think.
Did you say someone was shot by an unarmed person?
Yes.
How?
Yeah, so there is unironically a headline running around right now that says officer shot in the face by unarmed black man, which apparently finger guns are a lot more dangerous than I assumed they were. I guess, right, like that.
Speaking of all this propaganda, this is my Yuri Bezmenov hoodie.
Hell yes.
Says active measures.
You know, you have to send that to Tim Pool, because I hear he loves being told about Yuri Bezmenov.
I hear he does.
I'll
jizz
in his beanie.
As you should.
Cool. I don't know anything about him, but I'm gonna be mean to him.
I know enough about him. Carry on being mean.
Go ahead, yeah.
You know what? There's one thing I just don't respect at all out of anyone. It's a very blanket rule I have. And it's people that do clickbait thumbnails with like the white outline and the colors and the facial expressions.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do a title, you can either capitalize words like it's proper grammar. You can do all caps like you're a boomer. Or
I'm a boomer.
It's fine. That's fine. If you want to do all, you know, war, whatever. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's news. You know, shooting at whatever. But it's the clickbait thumbnail, as well as the one or two all caps words. And I see
yeah.
And when I do that, I click on the three little buttons and I write "Don't recommend channel."
Yep.
And it's done. It's one and done. I have zero tolerance.
No, I'm with you. The thing that kills me is that I have very similar principles on this, right? So I capitalize
as a fellow combat veteran.
Right, exactly. It's important to have principles if you are a combat veteran, which Tommy is holding up his end of the bargain now. But I capitalize the first word or first letter of every word in all of my titles.
Yeah,
and that's as far as I'll go. That's it, right?
It's proper title.
But no. Every word first letter is capitalized.
Yeah, me too. Even the prepositions and the.
Nah, so Tommy is gay. Tommy is and gay are all capitalized.
Yeah. Yeah, I capitalized the first letter. I know it's technically not proper grammar. You're supposed to have. Yeah, but no, I do that. I do every beginning of.
But that's as far as I'll go. And the simple reality is it is not as effective with all this marketing horse crap as, you know, Tim's one big red word that is capitalized and bolded and all this other shit. You know, I'm sure the channel icon does not stand out as much as Tim being like for every single video. And look, it works. So dear entire internet, if you want people to stop doing it, stop watching videos that do that.
Indeed.
Just don't recommend channel. Be the change you want to see in the world.
You know what I mean?
That's
but it's this kind of sick reality where people who actually try and do the right thing are the ones who get ignored constantly.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, Patton said we fought the wrong enemy. Whoops.
Listen, don't.
That was a Nazi joke.
Almost went to the lost episode, but if I ever end up making a channel, I'm gonna lean into it. Everything's going to be capitalized all the time, and it's always going to start with Klindathu drop from Starship Troopers. Doesn't matter if I'm talking about tax code. That'll be that's.
You know, I've been thinking more about all those like clickbait titles and things, And like, how would, because even you click on any Tim Pool video, right? Tim Pool has been, I don't get recommended. I sort these channels out, and I'm letting YouTube know. Not that they give a fuck about me, but
no,
not at all. I'm the only.
Well,
I'm the only person I know with 4 strikes in 1 year.
Wow! Congratulations.
Again,
so
combat veteran to combat veteran.
The me more combat veteran. But the few things bother me about Tim more than I predicted this, and Tim Pool is unbiased.
I was saying this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching this and have no idea why it is that I say,
don't worry, watching.
I predicted this from Tim, pisses me off. Go forth and watch Tim Pool in basically any video, and he will predict everything.
Okay, guys. So, the Biden administration,
this is unironic real video published today.
The Biden administration hypothetically violated the First Amendment. Now, it may violate the First Amendment.
Third Amendment.
May violate the Third Amendment. It may not. We don't really know. So it may be this is okay, but I don't think it's okay. But, I think it's important what the Supreme Court decides. And that'll be really what's important is what the Supreme Court decides. So, they'll figure out whether or not Biden administration actually violated the Third Amendment. But it's entirely possible that they did. And they also might not have. There are 2 options, both of which you have predicted 4 times in the span of 30 seconds.
Every time. It's the Always Sunny meme of Mac just going, yeah, I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top.
I mean, dude,
it literally is, right?
2021 will either see one of 2 things, guys. We're probably going to back off the interventionism, and the economy will boom. And, conversely, there is this option that hyperinflation may kick in, and we might be at a war. Okay, we just covered the entire spectrum. Economy goes up or down, and America goes to war or it does not.
Oh, man. And it's literally like this. And I point this out to people that I know, and they're like, no. And they call me a week later, and they're like, holy shit, he really does.
Mm-hmm.
He just says everything, and then he claims credit. And I went,
it feels like every week I get at least one where it's just like all these people used to make fun of me for saying that the Civil War is going to happen. And by the end of the video, he's like, come on, guys, the Civil War is not going to happen. Everyone just settled down.
What was it called? I respect the grift. I'll always respect the grift. If you do those thumbnails, if you log out of YouTube and go into just whatever, just log out entirely and go in, it's just blank slate. There's several things that are always recommended to you. I mean, Mr. Beast, which, by the way, if I ever become a billionaire, I'm gonna come on his face just to do it.
Well done.
I'm not even
do it for charity, because apparently he's big on that.
I will plan. I'll be like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the volume of my cum, and we're going to use an equation to count how many of my sperm were in there. And in there, my seed is how many trees we'll plant. Mr. Beast, open up. And that's what we'll do. That's how we'll plant trees. On a side note of me raping Mr. Beast is I respect the grift. And if you go into these channels and these thumbnails, and it's a girl with the white outline and the bright background, and she's like, my brother did what? I respect the grift. It's ad revenue. You're making money hand over fist. I respect it, but I hate it.
This brings me to another point. I am in the right company to say I am so tired of million subscriber channels being like, I'm being suppressed.
Yeah.
Brains out.
Piece of shit.
These that don't even have a presence on alt media, and but are like, well, I'm being suppressed. My revenue is being got. Bitch, if you were on BitChute 2 years ago, I would just sub just to support, just to support a guy over there.
I pay I pay BitChute $5 a month out of principle.
These, because I've seen most of them do it. They're like, oh man, 50% of my videos are demonetized. I'm like, bitch, YouTube won't let me break to 1,000 subscribers, and my entire channel's demonetized.
I've never made a penny on. I actually got an email that said I talk about issues that are too harmful to be monetized. I've had 4 strikes in 1 year. I have been striked for medical misinformation from the inventor of the mRNA vaccine who worked for DARPA, DIRCHA, and the Department of Defense, as well as the most published cardiologist in world history. I've had both of those removed for medical misinformation. I mean,
how
I
dare you literally talk to the originating expert, you son of a bitch.
I had someone comment on Facebook. They said Robert Malone didn't invent the mRNA, and I was like,
who did?
no, he did. So then I put up the video of Peter McCullough, the most published cardiologist in world history. And someone said, well, I don't know what a cardiologist has anything to do with the vaccine. I said, myocarditis, the only official warning on the vaccine. And they said, well, how come you're not having on other doctors? I said, no other doctors are being suppressed. I'm having on the suppressed doctors. They said, why don't you have on Fauci? I said, Fauci won't respond to my emails because I've tried. Right. Listen, I've tried. Fauci, Kissinger, none of them will come on. I respect the grift. Whether it's 5 million Indo-Chinese or 100 billion people, I respect the massacre. Come on my podcast.
You know what my favorite thing about Fauci is? And this is unironically true. Like, I hate that man with a fiery hot passion. However,
not on him.
there is a meme doctor on YouTube whose name I forget, Dr. something. For all of you who watch YouTube regularly, he's the B-Whoop guy. I think it's Dr. Mike. And he had on, he's like a 1.5 million, 2 million subscriber channel now, heavily promoted by YouTube. And he had on Fauci at the beginning of this shit, the cootie shit. And it was, Fauci, to this idiot, is like, well, you're going to have some sort of durable immunity if you've had COVID. You know, who knows if it's 6 months or 6 years or 60 years, but you're going to have some durable immunity. 3 weeks later, that bitch is on CNN going, there's no durable immunity. You have to get the vaccine. And I was like, you.
It's like, I know you went to Fordham, you Jesuit piece of shit. And,
right.
And that's why, you know, he's my arch nemesis now. So
there's no more absurdity than having on Malone, who's like, I mean, the name drops. He's like, you know, when I was working with DARPA right after 9/11, and it's like, oh, so when you were at the round table of the scientists that control the agency of the Department of Defense of the biggest military in world history. Is like, you know, when we were there and we were developing the ADEPT program, you know, we saw that this had a lot of potential. But I'm telling you, he goes, and he's not even like an absurd, like, it's all cancer. He's like, listen, he's like, they pushed it out because they needed a response. He's like, what I'm saying is, yes, this has the possibility to change world history. In much the same way that the car has the possibility. But he's like, basically what he's saying, and I'm paraphrasing, or I'm making up an analogy, excuse me, is he's saying, like, yes, cars have the ability to change world history. It's a delivery mechanism, right? That's what mRNA is. You take the thing, you put it in the bubble, it goes and gets there with the charged phospholipids and the anions. And he's going, but there are side effects, which you could assume is, well, you know, we don't know what happens when a car crashes. So you do some car crashes and you go, oh, fuck, look, airbag will do airbags. We really need something because that G-force is insane. So we invent the seatbelt, which, again, you want to talk about suppression of videos. I don't even use an analogy. You can go and look at the 2 episodes I've done with Larry Page, the vice president of GM for 15 years, which to date has not broken 100 views. I hate YouTube.
Really?
He worked with Google and DARPA as well on autonomous I'm going to blow my brains out just to show that no algorithm means anything. And I want Dawn to edit the freeze frame of my brains coming out of the exit wound, and I want him to put a white outline around it, and I want him to say, YouTuber, all caps, blows his brains out. You won't believe what happens next. And there's just a bitch with big tits in the out going. The point is,
can I just put YouTuber blows, leave his brains out part, and put big titty chick there?
Should we just start putting porn on YouTube?
See, what I would do is
whoa. It's important to know that you can't put porn on YouTube. They have algorithms to stop that, unless it's child porn, which for some reason the algorithms don't catch.
Yeah,
that's not a joke.
No,
that's a real thing.
No, which back to what he was saying earlier about channels complaining about like big ass channels. I forget the name of the channel, and I only know about this from Rackets, but some channel that like reviews like, you know, porn mods for video games or some shit like that, and they find out that they're getting demonetized, and the guy's girlfriend just like, it's finished. and just start freaking out on that. But as for you blowing your brains out, here's how we get around that. And I know how this meme works. We get like the Saudi head wrap. Looks like it goes on top of a jar of jam, and we just go Middle Eastern man spills jam. And
yes,
okay. Or, you know, I was talking to Vecchio last month, and I was like,
oh my God. Mike, if you watch this, I apologize for not fucking get back to you. I'm still recovering.
You've ghosted Mike.
So, like, I got sick.
All right, man. Well, now you're. I ain't messing with.
I feel like a complete asshole. I love Mike.
Mike's the coolest guy in the world. He doesn't give a shit.
Seriously, I need to get you back in the rotation because I fucking miss talking.
Mike's the cool. I love Mike.
Oh yeah, his stories are freaking awesome.
Vecchio is such an animal.
We love you, man.
Yeah.
If you watched this. Yeah.
Don't worry, he's not. He's retired and enjoying life and not watching us. If he wanted to watch a retard yelling at their own reflections, I don't know, he'd go down to a Down syndrome daycare center.
He'd keep talking to me.
But I remember the last time we talked, I was like, before we started recording, I was like, Mike, I got an idea for getting canceled. He's like, Tom, you're getting canceled all the time now. And I was like, you know, Mike, Mike's got the same energy as my dad, just that retired, I'm done. I did the game. And I'm like, Mike, they're censoring vaccines. He's like, how about that?
And
I'm retired. He's like, go on. And I'm like, I was thinking, Mike, I was like, what if I get a wheelchair and I put on a BLM shirt and I identify as a woman? Do you think they would cancel me? He goes, I don't think they would, but you know what, Tom, I got to tell you, I think you will lose a lot of respect from a lot of potential kids. He goes, I'm saying that as a fan of your podcast.
Real dad moment right there.
He goes, I'm saying that as a fan of your podcast. And I looked at him and I went, yes, sir. He goes, it's funny. You're probably never going to get a big guest again. And I went, okay. That's really the only thing that stood between me and getting a wheelchair and some fake tits. Shout out, Mike. Thanks for keeping the podcast alive.
Good looking out, because I would not ignore Tommy, but everyone else would.
Yeah, you can see Don and David are like, how come you didn't do it? You can see us.
Yeah, like,
we're all like,
I was pitching the VTuber idea, man. Like, if you really want to blow it up,
you were. And I've got a. I want to go. I've got this like long term, like 6 to 8 month plan that's actually in the works right now. Not tits. It'll be great. Don't worry about it. It'll be great, or it won't work at all. If it doesn't work, I can tell you about it. If it does work, the podcast will work. But
I'm excited for us.
So George Webb emailed me and said I think I told you this. He said he's offering to fly me out to their studio.
Really?
Yeah, which just kind of makes me think that we're all going to get killed by the CIA in one drone strike.
It's possible.
Yeah,
you know,
we're so you know that thing we were talking about where we should all be in the same place. Like maybe it's not a good idea.
Yeah, as a satellite re-enters Earth's orbit.
Let's at least make them use a couple flying Ginsus. You know, like 2 or 3. You know, maybe 4.
I think as long as we get paid at it or content out of it.
You have no idea how many people sent me that A-10 landing on a freeway thing, and we're like, so Blibberant is about to have serious problems.
Oh yeah. Well, you know that's why Eisenhower set up the interstate system that way. It's hiding in plain sight. It's there for every amount of miles of road. There has to be a 5-mile strip that you can move the median out of the way and create an impromptu airbase. So in case there's an invasion from the east or the west, what we can do is we can create air bases.
Yeah.
To move.
It honestly is kind of a brilliant move.
I love Eisenhower.
That's why there's so many really old 4-lane highways, even when they were absolutely not necessary.
Huh?
Like there are places, if you drive the freeways in this country, there are a whole bunch of places that are 50 miles from the nearest city on I-80, and they're 4-lane highways, and it makes no sense at all unless you're like, well, you could land a B-52 here if there wasn't a median. You know,
you gotta love that, man.
Big brain pop moment. Yeah,
I love that. I love that big dick Eisenhower moment.
The other thing that I mean, more substantially more straightforwardly, and it's still used for it to this day, is military moves like over the whole interstate system. There's some of the only roads in the entire country that you can move a 7-ton through.
That's what the whole bridge is. That they changed the Garrett Graff's Raven Rock, which, hey, Tim Pool, I get you, man. Censored YouTube videos. I had on the best-selling author on all of Audible 2019, Garrett Graff, the author of Raven Rock, about all the nuclear bunker systems. That was actually one of the stipulations. Was not only did you have to have for every X amount of miles, you have to have 5 miles of straightaway where you could just blow the medians out of the way. Bridges. Yep. All bridges had to be, they bumped the height up from, I think, 12 to 14 feet because they saw for contracts, they're like, hey, kind of like the B-52-ish. They were like, for these general, whatever, 2.5 tons or whatever they are, they're like, we're probably going to use this platform for the next half century. They have to be able to use it because Eisenhower was so impressed with the Autobahn. He was so impressed with Hitler's ability to move shit around that he was. I love Eisenhower, man.
So not only was it the Autobahn, but keep in mind that Eisenhower's in Korea, and not only saw the Autobahn give Hitler the capability to move things around, but saw that the Centurion tank, substantially better than any other tank in Korea, was able to hill climb simply because of the way it was designed. And the simple reality was, unless you were willing to design a tank around that much horsepower per ton and that much square foot pounds of torque, you were not going to be able to get over mountains unless tanks had somewhere to be able to go that was substantially flatter. Like, tanks will climb lots of stuff, but if you take an M4 Sherman, you try and climb it to the top of a hill in the same way that they did with Centurions in Korea, you end up with a lot of problems. The tank ends up sliding back down. The Centurion would climb it. And so he said, look, we can't base the entirety of the tank program on whether or not you can cover hills. And so the simple capability to get on a road and make it through the three major mountain ranges in the United States is kind of a big deal. And so like the things that Eisenhower put into this particular system, like, there's a reason all of our grades top out at 20%. And it is basically that World War II tanks were easily able to climb 20% grades. That's why if you roll through mountain ranges, you will find them extending out the mountain so that they can make 20% grades instead of going down at like a 30% grade. Everybody thinks, oh, it's because we had well, not semis, but drum brakes as opposed to disc brakes, because disc brakes will handle 30% grades. And they all buy this idea that it was a safety thing. It has nothing to do with safety. It is that the V8s that were in Sherman simply would not climb 30% grades. There was no way to do it. They would either stall or slide back down. And 20% grades, they would do just fine. That's basically why you don't find greater than a 20% grade anywhere in the country, because you need to be able to move military equipment. It is an unironically brilliant system that covers so many facets of war, and we drive on it every day and nobody has any idea.
It's a logistician, dude. It's I highly recommend it, dude. Raven Rock by Garrett Graff. The amount of shit that Eisenhower foresaw, and it just I don't know. I just think there's something so beautiful about, like, I love hierarchies. Dale being in, like,
our elites being actually elite.
Back in the day.
You know what? They were elite, and I get it. You mean Eisenhower set up the whole czar system. He took the top CEOs from all the different industries in the United States and said, "Hey, look, in a nuclear war that we survive, if there's a partial exchange, we're gonna need." He wasn't like, "How do we redistribute?" He was like, "We need the smartest." So he got, like, the guys that grew up the poorest and developed these massive industries. He got them because he knew that they knew how to take nothing and turn it into empires. And he's like, so we're going to be back in the Stone Age. So we had a system of 13 or 12 or 13 czars, which, ironically enough, the day they all met together at some mock drill was the day that Gary Powers was shot down. And Eisenhower was like, so it might be here sooner than later. But he had this whole system. JFK gutted it and never replaced it based on principle. But he put this whole thing together, and it was just insane. It was called the czar system, which, I mean, now I know we've had czars since like 2008. But
this is not Obama's czars.
Not Obama. This was Eisenhower. This was the cool czars. His thing was awesome, man. He had the bunkers. He had all the bunkers outfitted with alcohol. It was with alcohol because he wasn't stupid. He was like, to wean off alcoholic generals and senators, and with birth control because he was like, he knew that they were going to bring all their secretaries. Eisenhower's an animal, but that type of foresight.
Not to take anything away from Eisenhower, because honestly, the man probably
no one's perfect.
Not only did some of the most amazing shit, but also was probably the first serious person to say, hey, look, like this global machine thing, like it's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
But he stole a lot of this from FDR, who, by the way, stole a lot of that from both Stalin and Hitler. Mm-hmm. Because both of them had gotten the titans of industry lines. And Stalin got his basically from Lenin. Lenin had found out very quickly that it turns out capitalism had not turned running a business into a spreadsheet, and that there was some skill. And so he pulled all of the CEOs out of the gulags and gave them kind of pro tem positions. Stalin basically made them the czars of Soviet Russia in so far as he was willing to let them be heads of, whatever it was that they did. And so it is amazing that, to me at least, that the early 20th century has basically been guiding our lives for 150 years at this point.
Oh, absolutely. It's the yeah, it's I'm trying to think of how to word it.
Well, it comes back to the fact that at the end of the day, it's all Plato versus Aristotle. And at a certain point, it's just going to come to the fact that Eisenhower is smart enough to build these machines. He spent his entire life, fighting against other people who are building these machines. And as Don said, he's also the only one going, hey, see this giant war machine that I've been building over here to keep everyone safe? Just so you know, there's a lot of people that would like to be using that for their agenda. And
Eisenhower was the last president that I think we had. Mm-hmm. And I mean this unironically. Everybody likes to say JFK because he got smoked. But I think Eisenhower was the last president we had
who was at the reign,
unironically did not believe in this hyper-globalist idea. He very clearly did a bunch of things to fight against it, and was the last president that I know of. And yes, I will lump Trump right into that, who just said, we're not doing this. Like, this is a bad idea. You need to watch the UN. You need to watch the military industrial complex. You need to watch these things. You occasionally get generals who will come out and say it at the end of their career, but president-wise, I think he was the last one.
Indeed. And that's the big thing is, like, as that goes forward and we see how our foreign policy develops, and, shout out to my foreign policy daddy, Professor John Mearsheimer, as he likes to lay out, it came down to, liberal hegemony and the fact that liberalism quickly becomes a universal ideology because everyone has rights, and then positive versus negative rights. And long story short, it comes down to realism versus liberalism. And the fact of the matter is, if you are a realist in America, for as long as I've been alive, going probably all the way back to Eisenhower, you are the unpopular kid in the room. You're the kid saying we can't do that, and nobody wants to hear that.
Well, yeah. So all right, I'm gonna. All right, you all ready for the autistic?
So Eisenhower, FDR actually went to Groton, Connecticut, where he actually worked at a military school, and then the submarine was put on the Project Pluto.
Sorry.
So
wait. Can you not talk about important stuff for a minute? I gotta go get some more alcohol.
All right. So Tommy's gay, and we're going to discuss why.
Indeed. Big fat cocks in my guys. I just want to say, as someone that got a Purple Heart for the sting in my toe, I'm proud to be an American.
Exactly.
Shout out.
I'm proud to know Tommy.
Shout out Smedley, Marcus Luttrell. I mean, are we the same? No. Am I better than you? I mean, look, we're all Americans, but have I done more?
Maybe.
Am I a little more of an Eisenhower?
Possibly. It's the fact that Tommy is a real American fighting for the rights of every man.
I cannot wait until you actually get Marcus Luttrell on this podcast.
It's the dead end. I've already tried. I mean, I'll keep trying. I mean, hey, man, there's, as I've said, there's a fine line between persistence and harassment. And, persistence did get me the first deputy director of the Soviet bioweapon program. Now, it's also gotten a lot of hard nose from ex-presidents, but
I bet.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm developed, as Ted-Eye once said to me in person, Tom, you are absolutely on a server somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
It's whenever I see a fine line, I like to, use that as an excuse
Cross
to
that
get my
bitch as hard as possible.
Exactly, man. You got to zigzag. That's how you keep your cardio up.
No, so I forgot what I was going to say. There was a long thing that I was going to say. What was
we were back on Eisenhower. We're going to continue. I just made my Papa Mearsheimer argument about realism butting heads with liberal hegemony.
Oh, okay. So liberalism is not what we deal with on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. We call it liberalism. It's the way that we are. Is the left calls themselves liberal, but as so many right-wing commentators have said, specifically, I'm quoting David Horowitz here, what are they liberal about except sex and drugs? And the answer is nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of conservatives hate when I say this, but you have to give people the choice to be shitty people, because that's how you find out how shitty people are or who shitty people are. But you don't have to give them power over everything.
And that's the positive rights versus negative rights situation. Yeah.
Right. And I know it's become fashionable lately to say that positive rights are the same as negative rights, because in some circumstance or another, you can meet a both positive and negative right circumstance. Like, yes, thank you for taking an edge case and saying that all of this scenario is the same thing. It's not. You're an idiot. Stop being an asshole. You're acting like the left. Go fuck yourself. And when I say the left, I have no idea what Tommy's audience looks like. So by all means, if you are vaguely on the left and not a ridiculous human being who thinks that, I don't know, a dude with a beard in a dress deserves to have his dick sucked by a dude because suck the dick bigot. If you think that's ridiculous, then we're not talking to you. On the other hand, if you are looking at a wide variety of human behavior and going, look, I want to know who the shitty people are. I want them to be able to say, I think child porn's a good idea, so that you can say all of society should hate that guy. Then, that's right. Because, and look, I know there's an unlimited number of conspiracy theories about everybody in the world, or any number of groups of people in the world promoting child porn or blah, 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 whatever. Fine. I want to know who those shitty people are. And in that particular case, I want them in prison,
Indeed. And if we can just someone gets a little payoff, they get left in Gen Pop, something happens. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Right. For entirely posting things on the internet reason, I want them in prison. On the other hand, look, if prison is a synonym for a wood chipper, then what are you going to do?
Exactly. Maybe someone, I don't know how my 22 copper wire bore brush ended up in Tabasco sauce and ended up in the guy's urethra. I don't know how it got there. Really don't know.
Look,
he's weird.
Mistakes were made, man.
Accidents
happen.
He probably did himself. He's crazy. Kids.
What are you gonna do? Look, we tried to help the guy. We just told him, hey, don't f kids, and then he stuck a 1/4-inch DeWalt drill bit into his penis. Weird.
Really strange. And I don't even know how he was still conscious to actually, get the drill on there and get the battery in. And
who? Craig?
No.
Whoa, not Craig. Not Craig.
Whoa. Let's not go lumping Craig in with some generic
with the rest of the British population.
Craig's not that.
Some generic Democratic staffer. Okay, let's just go with that.
Craig's not that cool. Before we get
suddenly we have a very different definition of what Tommy thinks is cool. For those of you watching this podcast as it is posted, you're going to be like, "Whoa, Tommy!" On the other hand,
is that like a new insult?
Riding that pony.
When I tell guests, I'm like, "You're the coolest guy ever." Is that the new low-key insult? Just like you're the coolest guy ever.
Look, in this particular circumstance, that is definitely true.
These dogs will eat anything. Before Don goes full, actually, I thought it was funny that Eisenhower, really he didn't think a lot of JFK. And the day before JFK was inaugurated, he came in and was like, "Do you understand, like, basically, like, how serious things are?" And he was like, "There is no, like, fleet of bombers coming over the ocean. It's going to be missiles." And what he did is he picked up the phone and he said, "Opal 3." And in JFK's words, he was like, "Not an entire minute had passed before you could feel the thundering in your chest of a Marine helicopter coming in to take you to the nearest nuclear bunker." And he goes, "It's going to be in under 6 minutes." And then, so after, I think the Bay of Pigs, it was after the Bay of Pigs, JFK had Eisenhower come meet with him. And they went for a long walk. And I think in JFK's notes, he said he was trying to commiserate with Eisenhower. You know, much like Don tries to commiserate with me and what it's like to get a Purple Heart. And like, although Don has...
I don't have a Purple Heart, by the way. I did not get a Haji accuracy award. That's not a thing.
Well, or, a bee sting,
Don claims the point is like, okay, let's take so Dale, Dale's been in combat, like, or whatever.
Has he been stung by a hornet? That's the real
by an NRO drone, and I'm not sure, but you know what? We both.
So unironically, I have my stack right here. It's this.
I don't even know what that is. Right. Oh, okay, it's beautiful. Yeah, no, I wore one of those in Times Square. It's but basically JFK was trying to commiserate with Eisenhower, and he, kind of like my bee sting. He was like, he's like, we had those boys go into the Bay of Pigs, and the bombers. He's like, they didn't go through, a lot of men died. And the way Garrett Graff words it, he goes, "And as the young, tall, handsome, inept president tried to commiserate with the former 5-star general and leader of the largest amphibious invasion in world history," and then in JFK's words, "I received the tongue lashing of a lifetime. He wouldn't even call me President Kennedy. He called me Jack." And he goes, it was the most beneficial thing that had happened to me, because everyone else was yes men, and Eisenhower is basically like, "I'm gonna pop your pink sock." Like,
right. Look, you stupid bitch.
So up until that point, before there was like the camp, there was this like yacht they all used. Truman had a yacht, FDR had a yacht. But when they established this like camp up in the woods, was the Connachtons, Catoctons, whatever the fuck it is. It was tradition that you changed the name of the camp to whatever was for you. And so Eisenhower had named it Camp David after his grandson. After that meeting where Eisenhower basically throat him with his words, JFK came back and signed a thing that said it will from now on be known as Camp David. And it was out of respect for Ike. So, little vignette, sorry, but that was badass. Where he came back basically like, you can almost imagine Jackie like, "How's the talk?" He was like, "It was fine. By the way, from now on, this is Camp David forever."
But so like that's a thing that people see on a regular basis, right? Like you people know Camp David now because of that. Go listen to the SOG books. Not only did he JFK insofar as being an asshole, SOG existed for the Surveys and Observations Group, Special Operations Group, call it whatever you want. It was the guys when you watch Predator and they're like, "Man, this is a dream compared to Cambodia." Like, those people actually existed. And the guys, if you go listen to SOG stories, and if you haven't, you should. Those guys did some of the wildest shit ever in existence.
Surprise kill vanished by Andy Jacobson. Sorry.
Yeah. And so SOG, after JFK gets that ass chewing, SOG is no longer the purview of the CIA. They get moved back under the U.S. Army.
Like, that is how much that ass chewing affected American foreign policy. Is quite literally, I know this podcast should be familiar with CAG. Basically, CAG got moved out of being CAG back to a U.S. military division, because that's what SOG was in Vietnam. Is they were CAG. They just did whatever they wanted. The CIA was just like, well, we're just funding you money. And JFK came back after that ass chewing. He was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Fuck the CIA in their neck.
Think of like all the like modern day like Reddit are murdered by words.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because they purposely went on a walk with no electronics, we won't know.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere floating at the speed of light are the faint acoustic vibrations of Eisenhower laying down a burn on JFK that makes
pulling his sandpaper condom out of his pocket. Being like,
whatever he said to
this is 7 feet long, but get ready.
It won't fit on me entirely. Yeah. Whatever he said made Eminem's 8 Mile look like a nursery rhyme.
Like, let me get this straight. You took the top tier, the best guys that we have, and you gave them to the continuation of the most infiltrated intelligence organization to ever exist, the OSS, which was just from the floor up, basically British foreign policy mixed with Russian spies. And the continuation of that, we're going to give them the top dudes and just say, do whatever the fuck you want. And now we wonder how we end up in the situation we see today.
It's funny, by the way, and I hate to be an asshole, but I'm going to have to tap after this statement. But when things get, and dear whoever in the CIA watches Tommy, I'm sorry for offending you, but
they don't watch this. Cool.
When things get pulled out of the CIA and moved back to literally anywhere else, they work a lot better. And I know SOG got infiltrated later, but SOG got infiltrated later. God damn it. Like, not that instant. And it's a very serious problem. Things in the control of the CIA continuously and forever have problems. And I know somebody's going to be like, oh, yeah, man, John, I'm a CIA operative, and we did a lot of stuff you don't know. First of all, if you're posting that in the YouTube comment section, no, you aren't. Second of all, no one believes you. Third of all, the portions of that are true, and from the guys that have talked about shit with, the agency, yes, I'm sure you did a lot of shit. You also have really serious problems with infiltration and rogue agents, like really serious problems. And every time one of you is like, oh, we're totally addressing this, 2 years later is like, oh, so rogue CIA agent has sex with Russian dictator. Like, what? Bro, no.
Yeah. We look at, essentially the academy, where does any intelligence community come from? Well, you got to have these degrees, right? You got to have some kind of degree. So all of these people, as going back to, well, what do we get for the OSS? Well, I need PhDs that can win a bar fight. So you're recruiting these people. You're going to have this entire agency run by the academy. What is the academy? Well, they like flying around and doing international diplomacy. They don't really consider themselves nationalists. They tend to be all over the place. And so we just wonder how they just end up with these, circles within circles of various foreign policies from different countries, just, hijacking our foreign policy establishment and just going hog wild. And then we're sitting here wondering, what if we just, we take dudes that are really good at killing people and we don't let them talk to anyone from that has like a degree. Like, what if we do that instead?
Well, this is, I know I said I was going to leave, but you can thank Woodrow Wilson for
that. Don't leave. Tell your wife that I got stung and I'm dying.
Indeed. I will tell her that's why I'm here later than I said I would be.
Like, she'll give a fuck. She'll be like, who and what?
So, yeah, well, that too. But the degree thing you can thank Wilson for, because he established this idea of everybody needs degrees, right? Those are the people you listen to. And prior to that, there was indeed some sort of like vague nobility idea for officers in the military and that sort of thing, but he standardized it into this general idea of you have a degree, therefore you can be an officer. And
he did this in the civilian sector as well. Prior to Wilson, you don't see managers requiring a degree. You don't see CEOs requiring a degree. Post Wilson, you do. And without him, we wouldn't have ended up with a CIA who thought everybody needed degrees. And by the way, you have a CIA who existed in some degree or another prior to the Long March through the institutions, and one that existed post the Long March through the institutions. And they were very different CIAs. You see a very big change in how all of these people behave once the idea of degree is required plus Long March through the institutions happen. And you know, for anybody who's watching this that is like, oh, John, but the Long March started in the 40s, and like, you know, so did the CIA. Like, well, yes, but the Long March doesn't really finish until the late 50s, right? 50, it depends on who you're listening to, but anywhere between about 56 and 58 is about the time where they really get the foothold, where they control the ideology. And the reality of that is now you have heavily propagandized people with a very globalist set of ideals being the ones who are running all of our foreign intelligence. And holy shit, is that a bad idea?
Yep, that is like everything that I don't know. We had this revolution against the British over, like, you know, and somehow we're back to that. And so now we have like this quasi aristocracy officer class that we don't even recognize as an aristocracy officer class everywhere. And so why is literally every job you get, there's a commissar? There's now a commissar that is sitting there. There's a political officer. And on that note, I'm going to grab another beer real quick.
Well, I will stay until David gets back.
Thank you.
I'll be quick, I promise.
But I do indeed need to go.
Yeah.
That said, before I do, happy birthday and things, good sir. This cigar was for a reason. I'll bring you one.
Thank you, Dave.
If we actually do this later in the year, getting together thing, I will ensure I go to my local cigar shop and bring you a Stoke.
Wait, David, are you already back?
Hell yeah, I just wanted to, you know, if I'm going to give Don a farewell, I got to get fresh beer to crack open on the farewell.
Yeah. This keeps beer in his ass. He just didn't want to pull it out on camera.
David's like, oh, good. You got to wash the old pink sock. Pulls it out.
Yeah, you know,
It's kind of like what Claire said last week or the week before. I was like,
oh my God, yet again. Claire, holy shit. I've been intending to have you back. We have a
oh,
plan.
you piece of shit.
It's coming.
That makes me look bad. I'm like, hey, come on my friend Don's podcast. And Don's like, oh.
No, look, I had Claire like 2 or 3 times, and then I took what amounted to a massive break from the internet. For
have you scheduled Federer yet?
I don't know who the fuck that is, so probably not.
You asked me if I could please give him your contact.
Oh, is he the dude?
Book on Play-Doh, man.
No.
Yes.
So I asked you for that, and like 3 days later, I basically shut down my internet presence.
You are full of excuses, and it hurts.
It's the same excuse. I'm not full of them.
I need Federer and Claire, man. Like I need Mike too, but like you got to have Claire and Federer.
Federer texted me a meme last night.
They're all coming. That's all I'm saying, and they're coming on my channel, dear YouTube. Don't kick me.
Federer texted me a meme last night, and it's two scientists in lab coats looking through a microscope at like a Delta at a COVID lab, and it says it appears to be mutating into a totalitarian dictatorship.
Unironically. Yeah. All right, gents, I am out of here for the evening. Again, thank you for having me. I apologize that my gay anti-internet activities are keeping me from being here the whole time. But hopefully I haven't been here to be the one that gets this podcast nuked from all of viewing for all of YouTube.
I don't think
I'll do my best once you're gone.
But David and I, we're good for it.
Right?
I love you, buddy. And that what's kind of creepy is I recognize that shirt because I've made so many Photoshops of you. I'm like, where have I seen? You know, it's like when you see like a really hot girl. When you see a really hot girl, you're like, I like that babe.
I recognize them titties.
I'm like, I recognize that bathing suit. You had a great album, Spring Break 2013. And they're like, what? And you're like, how you doing? Don wears that shirt, and I'm like, I know that shirt.
Oh God. Speaking of which, apparently I'm some sort of minor e-celeb, which I was not aware of.
What?
E-celebrity.
I don't know what that means.
I didn't
right?
know, like, electronic celebrity. I'm a celebrity on the internet or something. And you guys have all suddenly informed me that this is true. I'm just an asshole in a pleb hat, man.
Wait. Before you go. So there's a restaurant in LA, and there's some guy that looks like Tony Soprano, and he requires proof of unvaccination to come to his restaurant.
Oh my God, where the is this guy?
That's amazing.
Los Angeles, yeah, he's been on Tucker. He's got screamed at by Cuomo on CNN. He's like, I think you're an idiot. And this guy's like, well, I think we can agree to disagree and both be adults. Just completely just owning this guy morally. I called the restaurant 2 days ago, and the first is like, if you'd like to place an order, press 1. If you'd like to leave a death threat, press 2, so we can pay you a visit. And I was like, these are my people. And so...
yes! Oh my God!
Please get this man on.
I called him. I was like, will you please come on my podcast? And he's like, well, we're currently in talks with like the Young Turks this weekend. And I was like, they're communist faggots. Like, not realizing I wasn't talking to like you guys. And I paused, and they're like, yeah, they kind of are. And I was like, will you come on my podcast? But the point of all of this is he goes, yeah, what's your name? It's Tommy's podcast on YouTube. He goes, last name? I go, Tommy Carrigan. He goes, I recognize that. And I went, oh, thanks. And then I hung up, and I thought,
wait a minute.
How much has YouTube censored me? Mm-hmm. Is it an iceberg? Do I have an army of autistic patriots right beneath the waters that
you're actually a 1 million subscriber channel, and you just don't even know it?
Nothing would be funnier. If it happens, so, I'm gonna nut on Tim Pool's face.
As a guy who has literally had thousands of subscribers culled while alive, it's entirely possible, man.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think I'm kidding, my Proud Boys podcast, I was at 10,000 subscribers, and they culled me back down to 5,000 live.
Oh, I was watching that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. The same thing happens to you. It happens to me. You hit a number, and then they reel you back. For me, they love 5.5. That's my number. I'll go up to 5.8, and then they'll just, all right, how about you come back? Dawn is like, you're at 11 point something, where you'll shoot up, and they'll be like, all right, come on back.
Yeah. No, I can't make it past 11,925. They will not let me.
You gotta almost imagine that it's like we're just dumping gas onto this forest, and we're trying to find the embers. Eventually, we're gonna hit it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And Dawn's gonna be like, do you know I had 14 million subscribers? Like,
right. Well, so the other thing that keeps happening is I said the other day on the show, like, hey, they're culling my subscribers. And somebody posted in the comments section named Banned Again that was like, so they're not culling your subscribers, they're just banning us. You want to guess how I know? And I was like, fair enough.
Hey man, I wear it as a badge of honor.
I've gotten notifications, all right, and this is the ultimate irony. It's like they unsubscribe you so you don't get a notification. But I've gotten a notification. I think it was one of George Webb's former channels. I click it, I'm unsubscribed. I have to resubscribe. Like, yeah, right? Like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude, it's Donna. You gotta go. David Vine, an author I had on who wrote the book Base Nation, all about America's. It's our overreach of bases and all the contracts that go. Super liberal guy, professor at like Georgetown or something. Super liberal.
Oh my God. All right. So before you continue, at some point we need to discuss all of the propaganda around the military. Like we should totally just book a podcast of like 8 hours of Dawn spurging about propaganda.
You say that, he'll do it. He will lock you in for 8 hours.
Don't make a threat that you can't back up, because I'll do it.
Sten, I know you're going to see this. Get ready to book it.
Sten, do it.
Sten, I'll rape you.
For those that don't
outside of all of this, unrelated to all of this, I'm going to rape you, Sten. David Vine I had on. He's a fantastic, brilliant author. It's one of my favorite books, Base Nation. And he goes on all about this, all from the 50s till now, everything going on. And he was like, hey man, I'd love to, like, I have a new book coming out this fall. He was like, maybe I'll give you like a sneak peek. And I was like, dude, I would be honored. And he knows from the outset. I emailed him like beforehand. I was like, hey man, full disclosure, like I know you're like a very liberal guy. Like I'm a Trump guy. And he was like, hey man, as long as we can have like a civil discussion. And I was like, I respect that. So we talked, great episode, awesome guy, one of my favorite books.
He later emailed me. He goes, "Why were you banned from YouTube a couple times?" And I was like, "Good question." So I sent him the episodes. Talk about red pill. He went, "Why were you banned for that?" I go, "I don't know. I had on these MDs who didn't like it." And he goes, "But that doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess we'll have to find out." I'm doing my own long march where I'm
You really are.
And I'm just like, "Hey, think for yourself. I don't know, man." And he was like, "That's not right." And I'm like, "It's the long march to the Institute. It's
what you want me to do, homie?"
It's me marching with a hobbled foot from my hornet sting." And I'm like
Sidney Gottlieb.
It's the
with
long
the club foot.
It's the long crutch through the or a Fecchione.
Speaking of which, before I go, Tommy.
Oh yeah, you gotta meme warriors.
When you do that meme of Obama giving Biden the Presidential Medal of Freedom of Dawn pinning a purple heart on me from behind, and I'm just like, I'm looking forward, just like, crying, and just me with the swollen club foot.
So before I get yeeted off YouTube, thanks for having me, brother. I'll be back later.
Have a wonderful rest of your evening, my man.
Take care, Don. Me and David, we're probably going to get removed, so Godspeed.
Good call. Ready, go.
Thank you.